Solar farms output has been cut. Let's have a look. Hello everyone, Florian Heise here and welcome to another episode of Heise Says. Got my lunchtime stein of coffee and it's a lovely sunny day here in Brisbane. I thought it'd be a great time to read this article today from the Business Review of the Australian. It's to do with voltage fears and cuts to solar farm outputs. Now I've looked at just the capacity of our renewable energy here in Australia, and they all will have several numbers. They'll have the capacity of the infrastructure, but that varies significantly from what it's actually producing in the output. And you remember, often half the day, if not more, solar farms produce nothing, nothing at all. So that's a lot of capex, a lot of capital investment in infrastructure to generate power and to not generate power when you need it. So let's have a look at this article. Voltage fears force AEMO, that's the Australian energy market, there, to cut solar farms output. Output from 5 solar farms in Victoria and New South Wales has been sliced in half by the market operator, citing concerns over voltage issues potentially hitting the power grid. So, does that scream confidence to anyone? To anyone? I mean, Victoria, they've got power issues. South Australia has issues. Victoria, I did a video, and I will write this down and find it. I'm just checking there to see how long I've been in. 135, about blackout issues. Risks of blackouts in Victoria. 1.2 million homes at risk. South Australia has some of the most expensive power in the country and the world. So there is an issue with rolling out this technology. There really is. But Florian, it's cheaper, it's better for the environment. Yes, but the average person is paying more. What would you rather? Our cost of living down, and we have some modern, clean coal plants, or, God forbid, nuclear generation in a country with ample supplies of uranium? That's one way right there. That's an infrastructure project that would have a longer-term, better benefit on our nation than all the roads and rails you're building. Hell, it'll even make the trains cheaper if power goes down. So, the Australian energy market operator says 4 solar units in northwest Victoria and 1 in New South Wales Broken Hill would have limits imposed following studies conducted on several local transmission lines. So, there you go. They're having to artificially limit the capacity of this infrastructure because of the risk to another part of infrastructure. The Victorian solar farms affected are Foresight Benetton facility near Robinville, Baywas, Caradoc plant south of Mildura, and Wilsall's Women plant near Mildura, and the Gunnawara farm west of Kerrang. The New South Wales solar farm is AGL's Energy's Broken Hill unit in the southwest of the state. AEMO is working closely with a number of solar farms and network service providers to manage identified voltage fluctuations in the northwest Victorian and southwest New South Wales region in the national electrical market. The operator said, so, close analysis and management of this issue is required to ensure power system security across the associated parts of the Victorian and New South Wales 220 kilovolt electricity network. The solar units will roughly see their output cut in 2, according to new solar farm limits for the 5 farms published by AEMO on its website yesterday. Well, that's not impressive. New generation standards and system strength requirements have been put in place to ensure solar and wind maintain grid stability, with AEMO noting that following a trip on transmission lines, the solar farms now show oscillatory behavior. Until the fluctuations are resolved, AEMO will need to partially constrain the affected generators to manage power system security, it said. AEMO has been working closely with all impacted generators and anticipates an expedited remediation, reducing the impact and time frames of required constraints. Energy expert Tristan Edis wrote on Twitter that the situation was ugly, although fixable, and suggested synchronizers, condensers may need to be installed as part of a fix. The clampdown follows AEMO's imposing tougher rules on connecting to the grid and a reduction of so-called marginal loss factors, which determine the price generators get for their power, which has diminished returns for many renewable operators along with price volatility in the market. The rating of some solar developments in the pipeline may mean owners struggle to give the investment green lights to projects. Well, okay, that's the market. That's the market. AEMO, which runs the nation's power grid, has proposed urgent transmission investment in Western Victoria over concerns that the state's existing network will fail to cope with a surge in clean energy supplies, potentially sparking a long-term price jump for users. Up to 6,000 megawatts of large-scale wind and solar generation will enter the grid in a decade, with a third of that supply due to come online by next year, driven by an increase in the state's renewable energy target to 50% by 2030. So, are there any examples of private grids? Private grids. Why is there a monopoly on the grid? Why is there a monopoly on the grid? Why aren't we opening it up and allowing private enterprise to build power capacity? It's an idea. Why not? The plans for Western Victoria envisage major transmission works, including a new terminal station north of Ballarat and long-distance voltage lines between Bolanga and Sydenham, with the final component not due in place until 2025. Elevated power prices also remain a significant issue for the coalition government, which is under pressure to deliver on an election promise for wholesale tariffs to fall by up to 25% to $70 a megawatt hour by 2021. So, let's have a look. We will jump over to... let's have a look at just our Australian power. So what we've got here, this is from the Australian aemo.com.au. This is their website. We can look at all of the different things. This is different to a website I've been looking at previously that gave you live readouts of the actual power production. There's some issues with that side at the moment, so I thought this would be an interesting one. We'll start off by, let's looking at just our transmission lines. Here, click on here and we can see all the different voltage lines here, and we can just see the network as we zoom in, the scale of these different lines. So here you've got 66 kilowatts. I'm assuming that's coming from the wind farms down here. You've got the different capacity. So we don't even, is Darwin? There you go. There's the Northern Territory. Let's zoom in. Do we have any closer? How does Alice Springs get power? Tennant Creek. So they've got a transmission line through to here. Queensland, so all along the east coast. One thing that's interesting is if you look at the case of Enron and how they would manipulate the power prices in California by moving power in and out of a state, by getting suppliers to turn off capacity, and it was a lot of market manipulation in that sector. So it screwed people over too. So it's interesting just to see this is just the network and the grid that we have, where it's all running. Okay, let's have a look at some of our power stations. We can have a look here. Well, how about, let's just look right now at our diesel and kerosene power stations. So what do we have here? Brisbane. There you go. Southbank Institute of Tafe, Unit 1 plant. Huh, look at that. I didn't even know we had it. So it was a diesel generation plant there. What else do we have? We got another one here. And there is an issue. I can't actually close this. I'm going to refresh this website so we get the map up. So let's have a look at some of our generation. We'll look at power. Let's look at these solar plants that we have in Australia. Or the ones that are on this map, because it doesn't seem to have any in Victoria, which seems a bit odd. And then we can have the generation density overlaid to that. So you can see this is a density map of where our power generation is. Look how much of it is in Tasmania. Look how much of it is in Tasmania. And we know what that is. It's a whole lot of hydro. Whole lot of hydro. We'll have a look here at the solar. Turn off that hydro. So here you go, Broken Hill. Got another one. And it's interesting just seeing the available generation. What are we having? Forecast supply. So they seem to have removed, or they have less data here on this map than the other one I looked at. And I'll just refresh that one. And it's still bugged out at the moment. So I think they may be doing some updates or changes. So, guys, let's have a look. Power stations. So you can see here in Tasmania, it's all hydro. There we go, that's how we close it down. More hydro capacity. So, what do you all think, guys? I'll link to this map so you can all have a bit of an understanding. I mean, does this fill you with confidence with the investment that we've got in our power infrastructure, particularly the fact that this may hamper future investment in these projects, or that it's causing issues with the grid? Was that ever taken into consideration when they were doing these other projects, or when they were putting the feasibility study for these renewable energy projects? Don't get me wrong, renewable energy has a time and place, but in a country which has ready access to coal, ready access to uranium, it seems ludicrous. It really does. We're inflating our power costs when you could, the embodied energy in producing that infrastructure also takes a long time to pay back. It's manufactured overseas. I mean, yeah. Anyway, guys, let me know what you think. Like, share, and subscribe. Will you be investing in a remote solar farm? Take care.